Okay, good morning. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to hop on. I don't ever know how many I've got joining, but let me give everybody just a minute to jump on. All right, so I am going to do kind of an intro. We are starting into a new unit today. We're starting into the second 6 weeks today. And we've got a lot of changes and things that are coming up in the next 2 weeks, especially if you have chosen to come back in person. I'm working on that schedule right now, so I kind of know what decision everybody has made, and I've got to start planning accordingly, obviously. So, like I said, let me make sure everybody is jumping in with us this morning. So good morning, good morning. I want to make sure everybody has a minute to get situated. If you haven't already done so, make sure that you have got chapter 16 stuff out, either on, I don't know what your setup is, if you've got like your phone and tablet and computer and all the things, or if you prefer to print things out, or however it is that you do it. But make sure that everybody is situated. So a lot of stuff goes into World War I, and it does break my heart that we are not able to do this unit together, because everything, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like the early stuff, everything that we've done thus far, but we're getting into some of my all-time favorite topics, and it really hurts my teacher heart to not be able to go through this and do this with you guys in person, because obviously, I don't know, I just feel like I'm a much better in-person teacher than I am having to communicate through a computer screen with you, you know, but it is what it is. Okay. All right. So let's talk about a couple of things. Let's make sure that everybody knows there are 4 pieces, because again, this is a major world war. This is something that, unfortunately, whether we do this virtually or if we were in person, it doesn't matter. We still only have about a week to squeeze in 5 years worth of a world war. So it is a lot of information that we are squeezing in a very short amount of time, and obviously we're limited on how much, you know, we can do face-to-face versus, I mean, when I say face-to-face, you know that I mean Zoom meetings and all the things, right? So today is an intro day. You should have all these things in Google Classroom. You should have a copy of your new IDs and SQs that go with World War I. I didn't realize I didn't put it up Friday, so I did it this morning. So my bad. I'm sorry. My bad. Your unit packet for World War I is up. It does have 4 sections. We'll walk through a section a day between now and Thursday, and then you've got 2 papers, a timeline, and then a chart that you'll do on your own as extra practice. And then you do have a map activity. It's got questions, and then a fun little coloring activity on the back. If you're not able to print this off and you want paper copies, let me know. I haven't played around with it to see how easy it is to be able to do the map digitally. I mean, I know obviously you can do the questions on like a Google Doc, but I might have to figure out something else if you have any issues with doing the actual map portion. So just, yeah, shoot me an email or message if you have an issue with that, okay? So that's, hold on, 1, 2, 3. Maybe it is just 3. For some reason, I was thinking there was another piece. Okay, no, that's it. So those 3 things for World War I. Again, all World War I stuff is going to go on second 6 weeks. The only thing I haven't decided on yet is whether or not I'm going to finish the rest of 15. And it kind of depends on what I'm able to do today as to whether 15 stuff goes on first 6 weeks. Oh, and just throwing this out there, I was going through this morning, getting everybody's grades from the combo test last week, and it looks like for the most part everybody did really well, so good job on that. And then I know we've got a couple of honors, and I was really hoping I was going to have a couple more hop on to show you some different visuals for Honors Project 2, which I am going to send out an email about later on. Okay, so you've got a variety of ways that you can do Honors Project 2. This person chose to do it on a piece of poster board that they made look like a Facebook page, and the only thing that's not on the back, because of course it's limited to what goes on the front, is her photo albums. There's supposed to be 2 photo albums with all her friends. So make sure that you are looking at your instructions. Never mind, that's the wrong set of, that's Honors Project 3, sorry. I pulled the wrong set of instructions out, sorry. But make sure that you are looking at those instructions for Honors Project 2. Make sure that you're paying close attention to the due date, which is next Monday, I think. If I can find my class calendar, I'll confirm that. But anyway, if you do the fake book, that's on classtools.net, I think is the website. If you Google fake book, F-A-K-E, it should pull up as one of the first things, okay? So digital options, I've seen people do it in Microsoft Publisher before. I've seen people do it in a variety of different digital methods, but also other paper methods as well, okay? So you've got a variety of options. Just make sure that you ask questions before it's actually due, okay? So we don't have any issues there, all right? Okay, now, enough said, let's get to it. Again, we are World War I, Section 1. Make sure you got something to write with, whether you're just jotting it down on notebook paper as we go, you're typing it in a Google Doc as we go, or bravo to you if you've actually already printed it out and stuff. So today is Section 1. Today is the United States introing. Entering into the war, we do, and again, make sure that you go back and look at the Google slides that go with your packet of notes, and make sure that you're writing down the extra and reviewing that. But as we get into World War I, the United States is going to drag its feet getting into World War I. What we don't see it as our issue, this is kind of answering your bell ringer, there's a whole ocean that separates us. You know, we got the Atlantic Ocean that separates us. And there's a variety of reasons. It's not just that. All right. Number one, it's happening in Europe. All right. And we're not in Europe. Number two, World War I is commonly known as a family feud, just because there's still a lot of kings and queens and monarchies that are still in control over in Europe. And if you know anything about monarchies, especially hundreds of years ago, the idea is that kings and queens were ordained by God. It can't be just a nobody that is king or queen. Those are very rare cases that you would have that happen. But for the most part, kings and queens are going to marry other kings and queens, right? So a lot of the monarchs in Europe are relatives. A good example would be King George of Great Britain was brother-in-law to Tsar Nicholas in Russia. Tsar Nicholas had married King George's sister. So again, there's a lot of aunts and uncles, cousins, grandparents. There's a lot of family members that are involved in this whole World War I. So everything begins in Europe. Everything begins with everybody already having secret alliances. It's kind of like we all have those family members that if something goes down, you've got that family member's back. Whereas, Aunt Susie, it wouldn't hurt your feelings if, you just didn't ever see her again. You know what I'm saying? Like we all have those family members, right? Well, that's kind of how things are set up in Europe, right? All right, Section 1, you got to set up the 2 alliances. Okay, you ready for this? Okay, Section 1, it says to name the 2 alliances. Excuse me. Name the 2 alliances and then list out the members of each. So again, all this is in your Google slides. So put up your ally powers, Allies, and then Central Powers. I think I didn't mean to say those together. I'm sorry. So Allies is your first group. Central Powers is your second group. All right, and then let's go through and let's list it out. Okay. Now, when we list out this group, we're not including the United States because we don't get in it to begin with. This is after, you know, the United States doesn't enter in until later on. We don't enter in until 1917, okay? And there's a couple things that push us into war, okay? All right, so let's talk about, I'm sorry, my nose itches. Let's talk about who is in the war to begin with the Allies. So you've got Great Britain, make yourself a list. You've got Great Britain, you've got France, and Russia. So Allies should have Great Britain, France, and Russia. Okay. Now, not that there's aren't other countries, because they are, but these are kind of like the big three. And then let's switch over to Central Powers. Okay. Your Central Powers are going to include, again, the big three. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and it is Austria-Hungary, Austria-Hungary, and then the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman, Ottoman Empire. So those three. And if you happen to have your notes and you can kind of follow along with us, I'm not sure what page it is because my pages are different than what yours are labeled as, but it is under the slide. Oh, I just lost it. It is under the slide of World War I think, or I lost it. I had it pulled up and then I let it go. Oh well, that's my fault. Okay, all right, so hopefully you got those. Let's keep going. Number 2, I don't mean to go so slow. Number 2, what incident triggered the beginning of World War I? Now, I do want you to star this because you will see this as a quiz and a test question and midterm questions. You're gonna see it like 3 different times. And then if you're super lucky and you end up having to take my final exam, and I am being very sarcastic about that. I don't know how fun that would be. But if you have to take my final, it will be on the final as well. So I was trying to find, I think it's causes of the war, but anyway, okay. Question 2. Assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And it should be on, I think, that 3rd box in your notes or on the 3rd slide of the Google slide, but it's the assassination of the Archduke Franz, F-R-A-N-Z, Franz Ferdinand. And he's important because he is heir to the throne of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, okay? You don't have to write that, but I do need you to know it because I shouldn't say I'm gonna try to trick you up, but it will be a quiz and test question that you'll see, but you need to know those details, okay? Assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, okay? That is like the first domino that falls, okay? And you know how I said all these countries have like secret treaties? Well, as soon as he is assassinated, everybody is picking sides, you know, and everybody starts, again, those dominoes start to fall and everybody starts declaring war, right? So Austria-Hungary has a secret treaty, friendship, allyship with Germany, and so that's how Germany gets involved in the Ottoman Empire. And it's a Serbian rebel that assassinates the Archduke. And Serbia is under the protection of Russia. That's why Russia jumps in. And Russia, again, is an ally with France and Great Britain. So you kind of see where I'm going here, right? That everybody has their friends and their allies that start jumping in as things get going, okay? So the Archduke is the first domino in all this. Question 3 says, why did many Americans support the British in the war, even though the U.S. was officially neutral? That's our mother country, right? Great Britain is our mother country. You know, not for everybody, I get that, but they were the ones that founded us as a colony. Even though we've had our issues, right? War of 1812. Even though we've had our issues, they still are our mother country, one of our oldest allies that we've always, Great Britain and France have always been a good ally of ours. Let's see, number 4, last question, only 4 questions. Number 4 says, how did Germany's use of unrestricted submarine warfare bring the U.S. into the war? So this is one of 2. This is just one of 2 things that push the United States into World War I. The biggest thing that we always look for is American blood being shed, right? As a reason to go to war, okay? So here's what happens. It's the sinking of the Lusitania. That's your answer, okay? Write that down for number 4. Sinking of the Lusitania. And again, that is also on that first PowerPoint slide of notes. It is, I think it's like the last, second to the last slide is the sinking of the Lusitania, 1915. Fun fact, that is the sister ship of the Titanic. Titanic goes down in 1912. Lusitania will be sunk by a submarine in 1915. Again, being one of the 2 things that pushed the United States into declaring war. Okay. All right. Now, the reason why that all goes down is because of the Sussex Pledge. The Germans said that they're going to be watching and patrolling the Atlantic Ocean, and if anybody's out there, they're going to give them a warning. And they did. They issued the Lusitania warning. We said, hey, they're a passenger ship. They're a cruise ship. No war materials. That was a little bit of a lie. There were some war materials, but anyway, it was, majority of it was a cruise ship. They didn't turn around, therefore they were fired on and sunk. Okay. All right, so you've got your IDs. You've got militarism, nationalism. Franz Ferdinand, again, we said was the Archduke of Austria-Hungary. Sussex Pledge, just talked about it, all right? Issued by the Germans, that they would not fire upon a ship without a warning, all right? Germans said they would give a warning. And Zimmermann telegram is the second thing that pushes us into war. Again, all these answers are in your PowerPoint notes, okay? Zimmermann note is on that very last slide on your PowerPoint notes. And this is a letter or note that is written by the Germans to try and get Mexico to pick a fight with the U.S. to keep us out of the war in Europe. All right, let me see if I can summarize that just a tad bit better. Just put attempt to get Mexico involved in the war with the U.S. I don't know that's really that much shorter, to be honest with you. Sorry about that. So anyway, militarism, again, going back to one of your IDs, is the idea of preparing one's Army and Navy. Again, working to prepare with weapons, technology, and men. And then nationalism, citizens being overly patriotic to the point that they're willing to go to war. Citizens being overly patriotic. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, I know that's a lot. Before I change gears to look at your packet, does anybody need me to go over any of 1 through 9 IDs and SQs? No? Okay. All right, well, feel free to throw something in the chat if you don't want to say it out loud, okay? All right, let's look at section 1 in the packet, 16-1, and then we'll hit the pause button for today as we continue tomorrow into World War I. I love it so much. And I wish there were more really good movies on World War I. Not that there are some. Like I usually watch clips from Flyboys. So if you're a movie lover, definitely take the opportunity to squeeze in. Not that movies are always they're not always historically accurate, but It's a better visual than nothing, I guess. All right, let's do it. Number one, these are short answer for the most part. Number one says, what nation became a bitter enemy of France in the 1870s? And that is Germany. Germany for number one. Number two says, why did the alliance between Germany, Italy, and Austria-Hungary alarm Russian leaders? Well, again, if you look at their position on a map, they're all right there in the middle, which there's pros and cons, you know, to being in the middle. So if you're in the middle, you're all together and you're able to kind of move your supplies and men and everything. Hold on. But anyway, let's get to the answer. I'm sorry. The answer. Afraid, Germany planned to expand. We'll just summarize it. Afraid, Germany planned to expand. So they were really scared that Germany planned to kind of grow its empire and work with these other countries to grow its empire, which is not off base, especially when we start talking about World War II, you know, growing those empires. Okay, number three. How did the alliance system encourage militarism? Countries are racing one another. Countries are racing one another to build up their army. Well, I guess you could put Army/Navy because we're working on building up everything. But I'm going to write this down as we go too so that I have my own copy. But countries raced each other. Countries raced each other to build up armies. You know, everybody wants to be on top. Everybody wants to have the best technology. Okay, now let's keep going. Number four, what is the main idea behind self-determination? People who share the same nationality should be together. People that share the same nationality should be together. I know that's not short. I'm sorry. But all these large empires had people from all different walks of life and race and ethnicity and religion, and that's where civil wars can pop out, right? When you've got a huge mix of people. So that was the idea. You're going to start to see countries break apart after World War I is over. So I'll say it one more time. People who share a nationality should be together. And again, we're going to see countries and empires broken apart after this. All right, number five says, how were both imperialism and nationalism involved in the Balkan crisis? I'm going to be very honest with you. There are some pieces that we're not going to take a very close look at. One, because we don't have time. And two, I'm not going to force you to learn something that you're definitely not going to be tested or quizzed on. And so this is a piece that I really don't go in depth on. So we're going to skip number five. Now, if you want to know it, then go right ahead. But I'm just saying, you know, I don't want to ever feel like I'm wasting somebody's time. Number six says, why did Russia support the I gotta say it right. Serbian. Okay, sorry, it took me a minute. Why did Russia support the Serbian nationalist group that assassinated the Archduke? Oh, God, I can't talk. They wanted to get rid of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. Get rid of Austrian-Hungarian Empire. I can't really make that any shorter. Sorry. Get rid of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. All right, number 7 says, what were the initial countries involved? And we kind of did that in your IDs and SQs. So it's 3 and 3, right? Allies, Great Britain, Russia, France, and then 3 for the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire. And again, if you missed that, that should be in that first question on your IDs and SQ sheet. So make sure you've got those 6, should be 6, 3 and 3. Number 8 says, what was the major problem with Germany's invasion route into France? They went through Belgium. That's the problem. They went through Belgium. Belgium was a neutral country. You know, they're already breaking rules of warfare. They went through Belgium. Belgium was a neutral country. And so, of course, they're going to make even more people mad with that, that move. They went through Belgium. Number 9 says, why did many Irish Americans sympathize with Germany and the Central Powers? Because they didn't like Great Britain. Simple as that. They didn't like Great Britain. Not everybody is a fan of our mother country, especially the Irish, if you know anything about British history, or English history rather. They didn't like the British. Number 10, how did Great Britain and Germany try to win American support? Propaganda. We will do a lot of talking about propaganda. 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 Propaganda is advertisement, posters, radio commercials, all trying to pull at your heartstrings, right? Trying to emotionally charge you into getting involved. And we'll do a lot of talking about propaganda this week. All right, number 11, why was America's prosperity intertwined with the military fortunes of Great Britain, France, and Russia? Banks loaned money to them. That's why. They're our allies. We're going to try and help them out, so we're going to loan them some money. Banks loan them money. Banks loan money. Again, trying to help out our allies. Let's see, 12, how did Germany respond to Great Britain's blockade? Germans are going to call their submarines U-boats, and that's kind of like what they're numbered at. It's like U-17564, okay? So German U-boats are going to sink British ships. That's how they respond. German U-boats sink British ships for number 12. German U-boats. Alrighty, last 3. 13, what did Germany do to keep the U.S. from breaking off diplomatic relations? Signed the Sussex Pledge. Talked about that with your IDs. Signed the Sussex Pledge, and Sussex is S-U-S-S-E-X. Signed the Sussex Pledge, meaning they would give a warning before they fire. 14, what did Germany promise to Mexico in return for Mexico's support in the war? Give them land back. So give land back. They promised them they would give them Texas and New Mexico and Arizona back, land that was lost during the Mexican-American War. How they plan to actually follow through on that promise, I don't know. But they did. They made that promise. All right, last one. What event finally drew the U.S. into the war? And it's really 2 things. So the sinking of the Lusitania and the Zimmerman Note. both of those things. And those are both on your PowerPoint slides. That first PowerPoint slide, this is all coming from stuff today. So, sinking of the Lusitania and Zimmerman note. Again, all these can come from your PowerPoint Google Notes, slides, notes from today, okay? All right, I realize that is a lot of info, but like I said, we've got so much to go through in World War I. You guys kind of give me a little bit of feedback. I tried to give you more in today's lesson. I tried to give you more of an actual mini lesson while we were doing our IDs and packet. You kind of guys give me some feedback. Was that, I don't know if you even can tell a difference. Did you like that better? Is it too much? I know I already went over my 30-minute time period because I just got the message, but I don't know. I think there's people that, anyway, I don't know how much you guys are going and working on trying to study and learn things your own versus how much you would rather hear it from me. And if you would rather hear it from me during Zoom meetings, or if you would rather hear it from me doing individual little video segments. But any feedback on maybe what I could do better or what you think? Alex, any feedback? Good or bad? I'll take anything. Or Ashlyn, anything? Any thoughts? Okay, all right, good deal. Justin, what are you thinking? Nobody wants to talk to me today? You guys are killing me. Okay, all righty, fantastic. Oh boy, okay. All righty, I love y'all too. All right, well, that's it. I kept you longer than I meant to, and I'm sorry, but hopefully it was for good. All right, guys, have a good one. Happy Monday.